Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. Today we're joined by the head coach of the Centennial baseball team, Rob Baughman, Mr. Centennial himself. You've been there 15 years.
Yeah.
Been the head baseball coach 13
I think
years.
this is my 13th.
You've worn many hats while you're there, still wearing many hats, not only in baseball, you also are the football guru, special teams, defensive guy. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you being here.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here, but let's go back. I just do offense. I don't know anything about defense on football. We try to score.
That's right. I got the wrong side. That's right. You're on the offensive side.
I like the offensive side of the ball.
That was my mistake. I apologize. But currently right now, Centennial is sitting in 10th place in the state right now in several polls and rankings, sitting at 10-7, 7-5 in the district. Things are looking good for the Centennial Cougars. Give us a little update about what's going on.
Well, we took a rough one last week. We were 1-3 last week, so we might change in the polls a little bit. But all the games we lost last week, we lost by 1 run. So we're right there. We're playing very, very well. I'm pretty impressed, to be honest with you. It's one of these seasons that I talked to our coaches before the season started, and it was like, man, I don't know. I'm not really sure because we had such a good team last year. And we lost a bunch of kids, but we knew we had some pitching coming back. So right now our pitching is what's really kept us in all our games. So,
well, sitting right now in Region 3, 6A play, Summit on top, 16-3, 8-1. They're sitting 9 in the polls right now. As I said earlier, you're sitting in second. Brentwood in third, 12-6, 6-6 in the district. Franklin in fourth at 11-7, 5-4. Independence in fifth, 9-9, 5-4. Ravenwood in sixth, 10-8, 5-7. It's just a giant log jam. We spoke to Coach Kirby last week. We're talking to you this week about how difficult it even is to get a district win this year.
It is. I mean, it's like that every year. I think we have one of the tougher districts in the state from top to bottom, and I think anybody can beat anybody on any given day. As you can see the records, obviously Summit being 8-1 is playing really good baseball right now. And Chad always does a fantastic job with those guys. So it's, but in our district, as you see, 7-5, 6-6, 5-4, everybody's beating everybody. That's just kind of the way that it goes.
And I think that's a big part of that 3-game. We talk about it with all you guys, but that 3-game series, it's tough,
It
is.
is.
You got to have a lot of arms, but you look at it, you've already got, and Summit's won losses to Franklin. You've got a series win against them, series win against Indy, series win against Ravenwood. So stubbed your toe a little bit. Last week, Brentwood, that's a team, I think kind of like you're not quite sure what you've got, but when you play well, they're playing well, and they played well.
Right, yeah, they did, and it came down, all 3 games. Well, all 3 games came down to the last inning. They beat us 3-2 the first game. Then we beat them in the bottom of the 7th at our place, and then they turned around and beat us in the bottom of the 7th at their place. So it was just one of those games that could have went either way. All 3 of them could have went either way. I'm glad to get one if we're gonna instead of getting swept. But it's tough. It's tough to play. I personally love the 3-game series. I like it. I like it to see the different pitchers they've got, and that 3rd game is always fun because you don't really know what you're gonna get or who's gonna throw or what's gonna happen. Because usually there's 2 pretty good pitchers on each group, but this year it seems to all 3 of them in our district right now. The top 6 or 7 teams, all of them have pretty good pitching, and it makes it tough, but it's fun.
And it makes you build depth. You don't have a choice. I mean,
right?
You're going to have however many pitchers you got. You have no choice. You're going to have to find 2 or 3 more.
And on top of that, he's talking about game 3. Your strategy, you have to figure out, you have to have some type of bullpen to go to at some point in time, and in that game 3, you're having to stretch everything as far as it can possibly get to even get out of the series.
Right. I mean, and you're exactly right. That's why I've enjoyed playing to go play tournaments on the weekends, because even we went and played in the East Hickman tournament a couple weeks ago, and our left fielder who didn't get a chance to hit a whole lot, I think he ended up 6 for 7 or 5 for 8 or something in the tournament, and now he's our everyday left fielder, Chris Kievit. It was just out of nowhere. Hit a grand slam, and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And now we got to see it, and now he's an everyday district player, because you just don't know that in the districts. You don't want to change a whole lot of stuff.
You can't change it.
You kind of want to go with who's hot and who's not, and keep everything the same as much as we can. And Chris was one of those kids that just came out of nowhere. And it's the same thing with pitching, like you were saying. Had some kids go in and throw some good innings, and now you feel comfortable if a guy does get in a tough spot during a district, you feel comfortable by throwing him in there and throw him into the fire right off the bat if we can.
There's two schools of philosophy going into postseason play. You know, you go through, we've mentioned the talented teams that we have, the talented coaches that we have. So let's say second, third, fourth, fifth place are all log jam there. They're right above 500, maybe even at 500. Does the mentality of the players, does that hurt or help once you get outside the conference?
I think it helps us outside our conference because we tell our kids, I think we play some of the best competition in the state every week. I mean, you don't. I think us and Murfreesboro, I mean, are two of the tougher districts in the state. But when we go play other teams, they're not intimidated. You know, you're not intimidated by, let's say, a Farragut or an Arlington this year that's really good that we played. We played Arlington and we played Dyer County in that East Hickman tournament, and they go to the state tournament every year, and we beat Dyer County and lost to Arlington by a run. You know, so we're very comfortable going to play outside of our district, and we enjoy it. We'll go play. I'm from the school of thought of go play the best. If you want to be the best, you got to go out and play them. You know, we played Oakland on Saturday. We played Columbia. We got to try to go play anybody and everybody we can.
And in this scenario, you don't have to go too far. I mean, if you get them every day in the conference. So.
That's right. Yeah, it works out well. Like I said, it's stressful. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are stressful. They make for some long weeks sometimes, but like I said, I'm glad we've decided to go to that 3-game series because we get an automatic bid into the region, and again, I think that's fair, especially in our district. If you can
I
go,
think it's a great role.
Yeah, looking at Summit being 8-1, hey man, that's awesome. To be 8-1 in our district, that's pretty awesome. So I think it was that way last year. I think Ravenwood might have lost 2 or 3 games. That says a lot for your team, especially playing 16 or 18 district games. You can only lose 1 or 2, and we usually have a state representative every year going to the state tournament. And last year we made it to the sectionals or the sub-states and got beat, but Ravenwood went on. And so that just tells us, it's good baseball around here.
Yeah, you all are usually going to have 1, sometimes 2. How important is, I didn't really think about it until then, if it keeps going like it is, Summit's going to win the district. Now, you're the top 2 teams right now. You all still have a 3-game series, so you've got a lot to say about that too. How important is playing for second place, though, in that tournament? Because if they're not one of the top 2 teams, they're going on. So really, the rest of you all are playing for 1. I'm assuming that second seed, third seed in going into the tournament that's just as important, really, isn't it?
The second seed, 1 and 2 get a bye. So if you're not going to finish 1, I always tell our kids, if we don't finish 1, I don't care where we finish, to be honest with you. But
your first loser, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we'll take the 2 seed. You get a bye, and you want your 2. I think we've been the 2 seed the last 3 years, I think.
Last year was 2 seed, right?
Yeah, and I know the year before, I think the year before we were the 2 seed. Might have been a little bit lower. We've won the tournament since I've been there. I think we've won the tournament 3 or 4 times, actually, which haven't got the automatic bid, but won the tournament. So I'm comfortable playing it no matter where we're at. I'd like the 1 seed just because you can play a little bit looser. But it's a tournament, man. You want to win the tournament. And I tell our kids, too, if we come in first, we're still playing to win the tournament because I want to win. I want to win the district tournament.
And he will, too.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind.
Nobody's laying up here.
No. And, Chad is a very good friend of mine, and I'll be the first one to admit I think he's a fantastic coach, and he does a great job with those kids. But when we play each other, we want to win, We had the pleasure, I guess the pleasure you could call it, if we beat them last year in the district finals.
Oh, he reminded us of it last week.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah,
He-
okay.
he-
So I'm glad he hasn't forgotten about it, I guess.
So outside of the district, who have you seen thus far that you think could make a pretty deep run? Looking down the road, I know we don't like to do that very often, but looking down the road, saying that team right there will probably be a state tournament caliber team.
Maybe Arlington. I like Arlington. They swing the bats real well. We played Columbia. I think Columbia's got a lot of talent. Oakland, and we scrimmaged Stewart's Creek. I think Stewart's Creek got a really good team this year. It's so hard to tell because when we do play them, you don't usually see their 1, 2, or 3. I mean, you may see one of their top pitchers, but usually we catch them on the weekends.
And they don't see yours either.
No,
right?
no,
Right.
they don't. Yeah, they don't see ours either. And we try. I try to get some other kids to play on the days that we don't have districts. So I'm not saying we're playing off, but we do. We try to get kids in some playing times who haven't had a whole lot of bats. Just like I was telling you about Chris, you never know. You might find a diamond in the rough that you're not really willing to do in a district situation, but you don't have a problem trying to do it in a non-district game. So, it's hard to tell, but I think I do like Arlington. I think they're one of the top teams in the states, in our state. We don't get much East Tennessee. We don't see. I don't go play in the. If we played in the Warrior Classic, we usually see some of those, but we don't. I'm getting to the point we've got Mount Juliet coming up. We've got Overton coming up, Smyrna coming up. So we're going to see some pretty good teams. And from what I hear is Mount Juliet's pretty good. So we'll find out if we're any count.
Yeah, they are. And then Oakland's traditionally good. Problem they're going to run into this year is Siegel's playing really well this year.
Yeah.
So which they beat Farragut. I didn't know that. But again, it's all going to come down to who's playing well at tournament time.
And that's what matters. That's what I tell our kids every day is our job is to get better from yesterday to today to tomorrow. You can't worry about – we can't sit back here and say, well, what if this would have happened at Brentwood or what if – it doesn't matter now. Now we got to look forward and get better and not make those little mistakes that seem to cost us and fix those, and we'll let the chips fall where they may, so to speak.
How much, you all are playing at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4.
Mm-hmm.
So say – in football, you play on Friday night, and then you have the weekend to meet as a staff, and then you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday if you want to correct it.
Right.
So how does baseball? You come out of the Brentwood game, you had to play one of them on Thursday, right?
Right.
And then you played Oakland on Friday.
But we played Oakland on Saturday.
Okay, so how do you address those?
Sometimes we don't. I mean, to be honest with you, after the Oakland game, I just kind of, getting beat.
You chewed out Alberson and then.
Yeah, it was pretty much Coach Alberson's fault when we don't lose, or Herb's or our pitching coaches for not throwing enough strikes. So I usually talk to them individually. But it's tough, you go from Brentwood, and then we have practice on Friday. I try to revisit it a little bit on a Friday practice if we can, or a Thursday practice depending on when we play. Like this week, just give you an example, we play today, which is probably going to get rained out. So we'll play Tuesday, a doubleheader on Wednesday, JV doubleheader on Thursday, then we play Friday, and then we play Saturday.
So you got plenty of action.
So we're going to have plenty of action. We talked about spring break. I felt bad for the kids because we played the 3-game series against Independence, then a doubleheader on Thursday, game on Friday, game on Saturday. So you don't really get a chance to address a whole lot of stuff. You try to do it. We make a lot of notes and try to go over things at practice. We practice every Sunday just to come in and hit and go over things that we might have made mistakes on throughout the week. Just make notes and try to correct them on Sundays. The kids are dying for a day off. Sometimes I'm dying for a day off.
But by this time, you're in the heart of the meat of the schedule. It's like basketball. I mean, there's so many things that you take care of preseason before you get in there, and you just have to go over those minimalistic things that just tweak just a very, very few small things. I don't know what would come to mind. Maybe base running errors. That usually comes to mind right off the bat where we may have missed a sign or missed whatever, and those small things you take care of. But the rest is there. The hay's in the barn, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna turn a kid who's batting 100 into a kid who's batting 400 by the end of the year. It's just not going to happen. But like you said, we go over the little things, base running, bunt coverages, first and third situations, things that may come up in the course of the game that you don't see a whole lot of right now. But once you get to the tournament and depending on who are some of the people you play, you have to be prepared for. So we go over those little things, delay steals, what are they going to do? If they do this, what are we going to do? Those are the little things that we try to cover on the days that we do get a chance to practice.
And those are things as a high school coach that will absolutely turn your hair gray and drive you crazy, because we understand it in those game scenarios just because of the experience that we've been around, and we fail to forget, I'm speaking of myself, that you got a 15, 16, 17-year-old out there that you would think would understand that, but you still have to cover it.
Yeah, you're right. You don't think. It's something as simple as we talked about the other day. I wouldn't say we lost the game because of it, but it's something as simple as missing the cutoff man and giving a guy from not going to second, now all of a sudden he's at second. Now you took away the force, and now something that minor that can turn into something that big.
Absolutely.
I mean, that you think, well, it's just a cutoff. I mean, it's not, but it's a big deal, especially in our district and what we're trying to get accomplished.
Especially when games are coming down to one run.
That's what you're talking about, and you had back-to-back losses that were one run
One
each.
run,
They
and
could have had the second baseman there to cause, to get the force out.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
So you mentioned your coaching staff. Let's go ahead. Why don't you talk about your coaching staff, who you have, and what positions their responsibilities are?
Justin Alberson, he's our infielder. He does our infielders. He's been with me, I think, 7 years now, which has been huge. He takes a lot off of me, especially in the fall, because with me coaching football, he does all our off-season work. So I basically turn that right over to him, and he's fantastic. He does a great job with that. We've got Herb Napier, who does our pitchers, which is his second go-around with me, because he started with my first year. He was my pitching coach for 2 or 3 years, and then he went back and he worked in the steel business, so he traveled too much and he couldn't be our coach. And now he came back, and I think this is his second or third year back with us. And then Kevin Sizemore, who teaches and coaches out at Fairview. He's the head girls soccer coach out at Fairview.
Had a successful year.
Yeah, had a great year, and he's been with us. I think this is his 4th year. So I've been really lucky to have not a major turnover in coaching. So I don't know if that's. I hope that says a little bit about me as a person or as a coach, or the fact that I don't know what I'm doing, and they're doing whatever they can to make me look good, which I think is more of it, because those 3 guys, they're awesome. I mean,
so you've been in the building 15 years, 13 years as head baseball coach. What happened? What did you do prior to that to lead up to today? Can you remember that far back?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, the cool part was I taught and coached at Freedom Middle, so I kind of got in with the whole Centennial thing when it first opened, because I've been teaching here since '94. So I was at Freedom Intermediate in '94 till about 2000, and I coached football and basketball at the middle school. So there's one group actually that I was with for 8 years. Actually, you look back at it, it was 8 years. I taught them in 5th and 6th grade, and I coached them in 7th and 8th grade, and then coached them 4 years in high school. And it's funny, I see them out now, and they're just like part of my family. We got guys like a Curtis Steele, who's playing in the CFL that I had a chance to coach.
Good fly.
And Brandon Meggs, Taylor Scott, Travis Dumke. I could go on and on. Daniel Lambert. Those guys I was with for 8 years. And I see them out now, and they're just like part of our family. They know my kids. They've grown up with my kids, and it's pretty cool.
That's
so
neat.
I've had the chance. I've been here in Middleton. I've been right here in Franklin for 22 years, I guess, and got to be around a lot of quality kids and a lot of quality people.
Well, you mentioned football, so your coaching duties are still on the football side as well.
Right.
New head football coach at Centennial.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your role with the new coach, Coach Krieger, and how that dynamic's going to work. I know it's important that we share athletes, basketball, football, baseball. It's so important for success. But a little bit about what's going on with that role.
You know, right now I've kind of been out of the loop with football, with what's going on. But Coach Krieger's been awesome with me. He'll come and talk to me. You know, he's given me the opportunity to pick kind of what I want to coach. But I've always told him, I said, I'm here to help you. I don't have a problem. You tell me what you want me to do. So I think next year I'll be going to the receivers where I've done the running backs. Since I've been there with Coach Rector, I've done the running backs. But this year I think I'll switch over and do the receivers. I did the special teams stuff, but, you know, I'm a baseball guy now. I want to coach baseball, and I really enjoy coaching football. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy what goes into it. So I told him, I'll just do whatever you want me to do. If you want me to carry the footballs out to practice, hey, man, I can do that too.
That's an important job.
I know.
Can't practice without balls.
That's right. That's right. Or, you know, I could be a personal dummy, whatever you want me to do. I just want to help out and be a part. You know, I'm, like you said, I'm a Centennial guy. I love the school. I love the kids who go to Centennial. It's a big part of who I am. You know, I'm not the type that's looking to go anywhere else. You know, I want to be a part of Centennial. I've had the pleasure of being on the coaching staff that finally beat Franklin and finally beat Brentwood when I was on the other side where we never did it. You know, going as far as we did in the playoffs. I'm biased because
I really think, and we've talked about this numerous times, and I think that's a very hot topic conversation when it comes up. Independence had one of those special years.
Yep.
If Independence was not in the mix, you guys would have won the state championship game.
Well, you know, who knows? I mean, who knows? Good. Independence was one of those teams you see come down the pipe 1 in a million. I mean, they were just. I think we talked about it as a staff, as a football staff. I think we could have played them 10 times and maybe stayed with them within 7 or 14 points once or twice. I mean, I know that sounds silly.
You're saying stay with them, not even beat them.
Not even
stay
beat
with
them.
them.
Yeah, they were just. It was just one of those things that was just like, wow. They were. If I didn't have to play against them, I think they would have been really fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of those special groups. I mean, good for our county and good for, you know, I hated that we were the ones who they got beat by, but, you know, it is what it is.
No, I think it's neat, and you know, you hear so much about the Rutherford County football, and I'm one of them. I mean, it is good, but then you look at this year, and I think that kind of got lost a little bit. Independence obviously was so good, but Ravenwood ends up winning the 6A state championship to Maryville, ending the second longest streak. And who was Ravenwood's one loss to?
Centennial.
And we were at that game.
And we weren't even close.
I think you all did Ravenwood, and I think Coach Hester would say the same thing. I really think you all did them a favor, because that thing kind of opened their eyes up a little bit. And I mean, it wasn't like it was a fluke win. It was a dominating win.
And it was obvious from the time they took the field that Centennial was wanting to win that game.
Right.
Yeah.
And Ravenwood got better as the year went over. So, you know, you had 3 guys, 2 of them won the state championship. You had 3 teams right here that could have won.
Sure.
Could have
I mean,
won
we
state
even say,
championships.
well, I'll probably get myself in trouble, but that's all right. We always talk about Ravenwood being the 3rd best team in our county this year, and they won the state championship.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but Will's gone. Will's still a good coach.
He's a knight now.
So let's talk about, real quick, let's do some player spotlights. Who you got right now on the mound? Let's start with your pitchers.
Hooper Mills right now has been fantastic. You know, he won our first 2 series, had a rough go with it against Brentwood, got beat 3-2, but pitched fantastic. Kyle Brennan. Kyle is just a junior. Hooper's a senior. Kyle's a junior. Kyle's been pitching us since he's a freshman for us, and he's our shortstop and our pitcher, and he's been phenomenal on the mound. And then we got a kid who transferred in this year named Billy Krieger. He came from, I think, DCA. His dad got a job teaching at Centennial as a math teacher, and Billy came over with him. He's a left-handed pitcher who's pitched some games in the districts for us. Struggled his first 2 times out, but pitched well his last 2 times out, so he's pitched really well. I think he's starting to get his groove. I think some of it might have been nerves, you know, with him just trying too hard. But those three on the mound have been fantastic for us. You know, hitting the ball wise, Kyle's been one of our leading hitters. Hooper's one of our leading hitters. Christian Blackwell, who's our center fielder, has been hitting the ball really well. Adam Baughman, who came off an arm injury last year, I think his on-base percentage, especially hitting in the 2-hole, is like 500, which is awesome. Our 1 through 6 or 1 through 7 right now have been, you know, the on-base percentage is up in the high 400s, and they're all batting close to 300, if not higher. So right now, there's the ones that are keeping us ahead of the game right now. So they've been really good.
There's some good bats in this district. I mean, I know there's some good pitching too, but when that's what one thing that seems neat. You know, Summit might be more of on the other end, but when Centennial, Franklin, when you two get hot on the bats,
oh yeah,
y'all can score some runs.
Looking at Franklin, I'm kind of glad we caught them at the beginning. You know, that was our first series, so maybe they weren't.
And they hit the ball really well during that spring break series against Summit. I mean, you know, and I think right now going out, everybody kind of put the bullseye on Summit. You know how that goes. So you might get, you know, everybody's getting their best game too. But like you said, they have played really good baseball here in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
So
yeah, they're, you know, again, I'm glad we caught them when we caught them.
I got to ask this question. We don't have a whole lot of time left. Tony Kemp. Tony Kemp came through Centennial High School. And with me being relatively new, this is my second year, I don't know the history behind Centennial baseball, but would Tony Kemp probably be the highest achieving baseball player up to this point?
Well, right now, him, and we have another one, Matt Williams. Matt Williams is in AAA too. He plays for the Cardinals organization. But yeah, without a doubt. Now his brother, Corey, who I coached my first year, played for the Brewers, but he just gave it a few years and then kind of hung it up. But yeah, I think Tony, I personally think this might be the year. If not this year, I think next year we might see him up there in the big leagues.
And your relationship with those guys still great?
Oh,
to this day?
fantastic. Yeah, I talked to him quite a bit actually. You know that Tony again, he's kind of part of our family. My wife taught him, and then, you know, he's grown up with my kids, and he comes over to our house to escape, you know, his world or whatever,
right.
You know, his whatever. It's a little different for him.
He's just Tony over at your house.
At his house, he's one of us, you know.
Well, Coach, I greatly appreciate you being here. I know that if you hadn't had a chance to go over and see Centennial's facilities, it's second behind East Hickman and Coach Parker's facilities. He wanted me to tell you that.
Okay.
But y'all do a fantastic job of field maintenance. I know that's an oversight by a lot of people. People think you just walk out there, but there's a lot of hours and times and pride that go into that. But catch these guys. Tournament's coming up. Best of luck to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's been WCS Sport Connection. We'll see you next time.